Hey guys, how's it going? This is Tweak387. I've been very busy with my Ultra Sun Shiny run, and it is taking a while, so in order to still get something out for you guys, I attempted a randomizer hardcore Nuzlocke in Pokémon Black. But, before we get into the video, I've noticed that 96% of my viewers aren't subscribed, so if you enjoy my content and want to see more of my Nuzlockes, consider subscribing and hitting that bell and all those things YouTubers always say. Even if it is repetitive, it really helps support my channel. Anyway, the general rules for this run are as follows. If a Pokemon faints, it can't be used anymore and must be boxed. Send mode must always be turned on. No in-battle items, but held items are okay. I can only catch the first encounter per route, and no leveling past the following gym leader's ace Pokemon. As always, I'm playing with the extended species clause. Also, if some of you want to know, the universal randomizer settings are listed in the description below. For the sake of not making the video too long, I'll only show me catching Pokemon that were relevant in the run, and only the more important battles. By the way, I'm naming my Pokemon after a common theme, so if you can guess that theme, leave your answers in the comments below. Also, if you have any suggestions for future challenges, leave them in the comments below. I would definitely expect this challenge to be easier than the normal monotype challenges that I typically do. I'll have a much larger number of encounters than I normally do, and my team will, hopefully, be more versatile. But who really knows what could happen in a randomizer Nuzlocke? Maybe I'll run into youngster Joey with 6 Mewtwo's before I even get to the first gym. Either way, let's get into the video. I get the choice between Weedle, Igglybuff, and Elekid. Not the best choices. I choose Elekid in hopes that maybe I'll find an Electrizer throughout the run. I later name him Nadal. Nadal has a careful nature, meaning more special defense and less special attack. I was hoping for a neutral nature to utilize Electabuzz's mixed attack stats, but at least we've got the static ability, so that's good. We then head to Route 1 to catch a Murkrow, then I name Federer. Federer has a gentle nature, which means she gets more special defense, but less defense, which is fine I guess. She also has Super Luck, which could come in clutch. We immediately get our next encounter as we head to Route 2, where we end up catching a Roselia. I catch him and name him Djokovic. Djokovic has a hasty nature, so less defense but more speed. If I find a Dawnstone, I could turn him into a strong special attacker, but I'll just have to see about that. It's time for the first gym. Sillin thinks I chose Oshawa, so I guess we're fighting him. Sillin leads with Vespiquen and I with Nadal. The type matchup is in my favor, and so Nadal takes out the Vespiquen without too much issue. Next up is Throw, so I switch into Djokovic to resist fighting type attacks. A couple Mega Drains later, and I've won myself the first gym badge. Next I head to the Dream Yard, where I stumble upon a Pawniard that I catch and name Zverev. He does evolve quite late, so that could be problematic. Anyway, he has a sussy nature, so more special defense but less speed. That's not particularly good. He does have the ability Defiant, which in turn is amazing. Next, I see something come up from a vent. It's a sussy Amoonguss. I name her Sampras. Sampras has a quiet nature, meaning more special attack for less speed. That's actually not too bad. She also has Effect Spore, which is definitely good to have. Continuing my catching spree, I find a Prinplup in Wellspring Cave. I catch him and name him Agassi. Agassi has a relaxed nature, so he gets more defense but less speed. I guess we'll be running a bulky Empoleon. After getting all those new team members, I challenge Lenora. She starts off with a Houndour, so I switch out Djokovic for Agassi, and take her out with Bubble Beam. Lenora stays true to her normal type roots and send out Kangaskhan. I decide to switch into Zverev to resist Kangaskhan's attacks. Kangaskhan can't really do anything, so a few Fury Cutters are enough to take her out. I level up my team and then proceed to challenge Berg. I lead with Federer and Berg with Nidoran. A Pursuit does the trick. Berg sends out Solosis next. Needless to say he can't do much, and some Pursuits take him out. Last up is Diglett, but one Pursuit is enough to KO, which wins me the badge. I head to Route 4 where I end up finding a flaming Moltres in a sand pit. I catch it and ironically name it Borg. Borg has a naive nature, which boosts speed and lowers special defense. I'm happy to sacrifice some bulk for speed in this case, so no complaints here. Next up, I'm challenged by Charon, who leads with a menacing Dialga. Funnily enough, the Dialga goes down without too much issue, but then Charon sends out a Poliwag. Poliwag paralyzes Agassi, so I switch into Federer to avoid a potential crit. Federer tanks a Body Slam, but he too is paralyzed. That's some tough luck. I believe Federer can survive a crit here, so he stays in. Okay, wow, that is some really poor luck. Federer was done dirty. I send in Nadal to avenge him, and a Shockwave takes out the malicious Poliwag. Charon has no shortage of legendaries though, as he sends out a Mew next, but Mew also isn't too threatening, so a few Shockwaves takes it out. The rest of the battle goes smoothly, but dang, Charon, you gotta hook me up with some of those legendaries and buffed up Poliwags. The 4th gym leader, Elisa's next. I decide to start on the offense as I lead with Borg. She sends out a little A-bomb, so Borg takes it out without any issues. Electric is up next, so I switch into Djokovic and take it out with a critical hit Giga Drain. Last up is Azelf, so I switch into Zverev, who easily deals with it. After the battle, Nadal evolves into an Electabuzz, which finally makes him viable again. Clay's next, so I decide to once again lead with Borg. Clay leads with Shelgon, who actually ends up giving me some trouble. I switch into Zverev, but realize Shelgon has Ember, so I switch back into Agassi, who ends up getting burnt. Eventually though, Agassi takes out Shelgon with a Bubble Beam. Clay sends out his next Pokemon, a Houndoom. For some reason I decide to stay in, but a bite and a burn takes me down to 1 HP, and Agassi also ends up flinching. Hi, yeah, this is Twig, I'd like to order some luck. Oh, you're all out? Go figure. I end up switching back to Borg, but in hindsight this was absolutely reckless, as a crit could have killed. Finally, I switch into Nadal, who takes down the Houndoom. Lastly, Clay sends out a Hitmonchan, so I switch into Djokovic, who finishes the fight with a Giga Drain. That was surprisingly tough. Next, I make my way to Mistralton City, where I take on Skyla. I lead with Borg again, which is absolutely perfect, since she ends up leading with a Victory Bell. 1 critical hit Fire Spin is enough to take her out. Next up is Nosepass, so Borg deals a little damage and is then switched out for Sampras, who takes out the Nosepass with a Giga Drain. Last up is Electric, but Sampras ends up Toxic Stalling it to death, and that's that fight dealt with. After that, Agassi finally evolves into an Empoleon. For the next gym, we have to challenge Bryson. I lead with Agassi as he leads with Love Disc, who ends up connecting with Attract and Sweet Kiss. I mean, she is all over Agassi, and he is falling for it. Failing to snap out of his blinding love for Love Disc, I decide to switch him out for Nadal. Now, Nadal is no simp, so he's able to take out Love Disc with a Thunder Punch. Solrock is next, but a few Needle Arms takes that out. Finally, Bryson throws out some gears glued together onto the battlefield. It's time for the 8th gym battle. Drayden leads with the Rhyperior, which is not a great matchup for Borg, so I switch out into Sampras. 1 Giga Drain is enough to KO. Ariados comes out, so I switch into Borg again and take him out with a Flamethrower. Last up is Luxray, so I switch back into Sampras. I apologize in advance, but I end up Toxic Stalling the Luxray. Luxray uses Roar, which drags out Borg again, but it's too late. He dies of poisoning, which wins me the final gym badge. On my way to Victory Road, I encounter Hydreigon. I catch her and name her team. I end up replacing Djokovic with team, since I believe Sampras is the better Grass Poison type of the two. I head into the Pokemon League, and since it doesn't really matter who I take on first, I choose to battle Marshall. Marshall leads with Excadrill, so I switch into team, predicting an Earthquake. A Searing Shot takes out Excadrill. Next out is Bibarel, but he can't do much against a couple Dragon Pulses. Marshall sends out Leafeon, but team is on a roll and won't stop here, so Leafeon goes down to another Searing Shot. Last up is Shedinja, but since team has several super effective moves, Wonder Guard isn't an issue, and so I win the battle. Next, I take on Caitlyn. I lead with Zverev, who is able to one-shot Caitlyn's Mime Jr. Caitlyn sends out Giratina, so I stay in since I have the type advantage, but it turns out her Giratina has Aura Sphere. Rest in peace, Zverev. You were literally 1 level away from evolving. I send out Sampras in order to Toxic Stall. Turns out a sussy mushroom can take out the ruler of the distortion world with a little bit of cheesiness. Next up is Wingull, but 1 Giga Drain takes it out. Caitlyn's last Pokemon comes out, which turns out to be a Maractus. Sampras finishes the battle by taking it out with 2 Clear Smogs. I challenge Grimsley next. Grimsley leads with Jinx, and I with Nadal. Jinx has very little physical defense, so a single Thunder Punch takes her out. Grimsley sends out Cobalion next, so I send out Borg. 1 Flamethrower is enough to kill. Next is Porygon Z. Predicting some sort of electric move, I switch into team, and as it turns out, Porygon Z tries to get off a discharge. With the boost from download, that could have been the end of Borg, so I am happy to have predicted that. Team takes out the Porygon Z with a few Dragon Pulses. Last up is Stoutland, but the good boy goes down to a few more Dragon Pulses. The final Elite Four member is Chantal. She leads with a Honchkrow as I send out Nadal. Great matchup for me. I connect with a Thunder Punch, which Honchkrow barely survives. Honchkrow lands a Swagger though, so I decide to switch out when, in hindsight, I think I should have risked it and stayed in. Either way, I send out Agassi as Chantal heals. Now follows a painful series of unfortunate events, as Agassi just fails to finish off the Honchkrow, so eventually I just switch out for Nadal, who finally takes out that stupid Honchkrow. Chantal sends out C-Dot next, so I take the opportunity to switch into Borg and take it out with an Air Slash. Next up is Ducklet, but she goes down to an Ancient Power that actually gives me an Omni Boost. Finally, Chantal sends out Beautifly, but a Flamethrower easily takes it out and wins me the battle. Now on to the champion. As it turns out, N beat Alder and Team Plasma grew a castle out of the ground. I head inside where all of the 7 sages are waiting eagerly for a 10-year-old to show up. Seriously though, this has got to be the most epic scene in all of Pokemon. I head to the top of N's castle to confront N. The Lightstone starts glowing and Reshiram awakens. It's up to me to catch the legendary Pokemon and defeat N. Ah, the legendary Chimecho. I catch him and name him Becker. So then it's finally time to challenge N. Instead of Zekrom, he sends out Lopunny, and I lead with Sampras. I switch into Agassi and take out the Lopunny with Surf. N sends out Electric, so I send out Team, who takes it out with a Dragon Pulse. After that, Kangaskhan comes out. Because it has traumatized me before, I remember that Kangaskhan could have Outrage, so I switch into Agassi. And lo and behold, Kangaskhan goes for Outrage. Finally, Agassi finishes off Kangaskhan with a Surf. Azumarill comes out next, so I switch into Sampras. Azumarill goes down to a few Giga Drains. N sends out Scolipede, but I counter that by switching into Borg, who takes him out with 1 Flamethrower. Last out is Buizel, but after switching into Sampras again, there's nothing N can do, as 1 final Giga Drain wins me the battle. It's not over yet though, since Getsus still wants to challenge me. I lead with Sampras, and Getsus sends out a Weedle. I switch into Borg and take out the Weedle with an Ancient Power, which ends up giving me the Omni Boost. Getsus sends out Weezing, but after the boost, a single Flamethrower can take out even Weezing. Emolga comes out next, so Borg goes for another Ancient Power. And Borg gets yet another Omni Boost. This is unbelievable. Stat-wise, Borg is on par with Ultra Necrozma right now. Next up is Skitty, but there's not much Getsus can do at this point. A Flamethrower takes her out. Hitmonlee is sent out, but an Air Slash takes him out as well. It's only Tranquil left now, but the battle is already won. Finally, I give my homie N a passionate kiss goodbye as we walk towards the setting sun. And that is it for this run. Randomizers are always fun since you never know what to expect. Sometimes even Poliwags end up being the biggest roadblocks, but that's all part of it. I do apologize if this video was a little fast-paced, since I really want to finish my Shiny Lock soon. If you enjoyed this video anyways, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. As I already said, I'm trying to finish up my Ultra Sun Shiny run soon, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. With that said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Goodbye.